Okay, we'll start. Exposure is actually all the thing that we have in photography. It means that we expose the sensitive part of our camera or our photography process, because it's not photography always with camera. We have all different kind of photography that uh, without any camera actually. So exposure, it's very important, and it's the whole process of photography. So when we talk about exposure, actually we are talking about one thing that it's very important: light. All the things refer to the light. So, and we have a very specific definition about the light. When we are talking about light, it means visible light. It's very special part of the whole waves and other things. So just special part from 400 nanometer to 700 approximately, actually approximately 700 nanometer. It's the place that we call it visible light, because we are seeing through this. The word usually refers to visible light, which is portion of the spectrum that can be perceived by the human eye. This is very important, because this is what we are talking about, and this is not all of the meaning of the light and visible light. Let's have a question here, and let's say that, okay, when we are talking about photography and exposure and light, now I have a question. Do you think that we can take a photograph without light?
No, I would say. Without light,
Maybe
everything is just black, right?
any other idea?
Well, I guess it depends if it's like natural lighting or just like artificial lighting. If you mean like artificial lighting, I would say yes, it can be taken without the extra lights,
Mhm.
because you can use kind of like the natural lighting, like the sun, or like home lights. I don't know, something like
Mhm.
that.
But it's still light. I mean that when you say flash or home light or anything, it's still light. It's 400 to 700 nanometers. So this is the lights and visible lights. So all the things that you mentioned actually are included in the light area. I think you know the answer, but I don't know what you are not saying it, because most of you had the experience of photography without lighting. Let's explain it. Okay, you may have a kind of photography from inside of your body in some kind of clinic. For example, your stomach. There is no light.
X-rays.
Yeah, so X-ray is not light. Yeah, but it's not light. So this is light. See, this is visible light. X-ray,
Is
it's,
a light, just not
pardon?
visible.
Yeah,
X-ray is a light by definition. It's just not visible.
yeah, we are talking about visible light. Okay,
Well,
visible light means, yeah, 400 to 700. So X-ray is another kind of waves actually, or rays. It's not light in the definition, it's rays. So yeah, and
no, it
when
is
we
light.
say, pardon?
It is light. Just there's distinction between visible light and non-visible light.
Okay,
Light are
it's
rays,
not
and
visible light. You're right. It's not. Let's just conclude here. And it's not visible light. Do you agree with this?
yeah, that is
Okay.
by definition
So
what it
we are
is.
talking about visible light. Okay. I said that when we are talking about lights, it's referred to visible lights and 400 to 700. So when we are talking about light, it means the things that we are seeing with our eyes. We are not seeing X-ray or infrared or microwave or other kind of rays that we have. So they are waves, they are rays, and they are different things that we do not call them visible light. But photography and camera, usually they see these things. This is the thing that I want to say here. Let's say something else. Here in the first paragraph or in the first sentence, the word usually refers to visible light, which is portion of the spectrum that can be perceived by the human eye. So what does it mean? It means that there are some other creature that may see differently. For example, when we are talking about these two creatures I just mentioned here, they are the photograph of mantis, a praying mantis, and a spider. So these two creatures, for example, they see differently. If I want to just give you an example, there are lots of mantis, for praying mantis with different colors. For example, you see a green one here. These praying mantis, they usually see two kind of colors. One color is their own color. For example, for this one, they just see the green part of the spectrum, and the other world is the same color for them. So they have just one color and the other color. Why? Why it is so? Because it helps them to hide themselves from predator. They could go and sit on the plant or next to the plant or on the leaf there. It's the same color of themselves. They can hide themselves. So they see really different from us. Or it's the same story for spider and lots of the other creature. I think you know about dogs, donkeys, and other creatures that they see differently. They do not see the way that we are looking at the world. So, and also among human beings, there are some people that they see differently. For example, they are people, usually among men, they are colorblind. I think you heard about them. Usually these people, they have problem between 400 to 55, 400, sorry, to 550, around here. It means that they cannot distinguish between yellow and green and all the things around them. So they just see all the things the same. We call them colorblind. There are lots of people, I think, among each group of 8 men, 1 man is a colorblind. So this is really popular among men. So when we are talking about human eye, means normal human eye and what we are seeing. But does it mean that camera see the same as we are looking at this? Let's try and see something. I want to connect that camera to my computer and let's try something. There are some remote control that they have infrared lights in front of them. So this is, I think, something else, or maybe Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or anything else. So the one that they have infrared lights. So if you look at the remote control and press any button, so you cannot see any light. But if you look at that remote control through your camera, you can see the light. This is what I want to say. I wanted to say that this is the way that camera sees. Camera may see more than we are seeing. Not may see, most of them are, it's the same. I mean that they see the whole spectrum and more than this, but we see just a limited part of that. So we should be aware of this, because later we want to talk about it, about, for example, using filter and controlling the light, because we want to see through our eyes, nothing more than it. So visible light is approximately a wavelength in the range of 400 to 700 nanometers. So this is what we want to see. Nothing after that, nothing before that. This is why we usually have UV filter in front of our lens. If you look at your cameras, maybe when you try to buy your camera or your lens, usually they also provide you a UV lens. If you look at them, you have a UV lens, because UV is this here in the area just before 400. So the camera see UV, but we are not seeing them. And we want to control the light the way that we see. So the camera are seeing much more. And also about the visible light, we are talking to controlling the visible light too. It means that we want to cameras see exactly the way that we are seeing it. So this is the exposure. This is the meaning of exposure. In photography, exposure is amount of the light which reaches your camera sensor or film. It is a crucial part of how bright or dark your picture appears. So when we are looking at anything, so we are looking outside, we are inside, all of the our eyes are approximately automatic. Why I say approximately? We will come to this. So our eyes is approximately automatic and we see all the things correctly. We are inside, the lights are good. We walk outside, but the light is not, it's too bright, but again, the light is good. I mean, our camera just adjusts everything through the iris that we have in our eyes. But sometimes it doesn't work and it's somehow else. Usually when people are affected by drug or too much alcohol, their iris doesn't work and it is wide open. And it is why when people, or when they faint, it is why that it should react to the light. If it doesn't react to the light, it means that the people is unconscious. This is why that if we call 911 or some ambulance and emergency medical come to the person, first of all they turn a light to the eyes and just moving through the eyes to see that if it reflects or not. So this is very important, that our eyes are automatic, but our cameras are not automatic, or at approximately most of the DSLR they have, or all of the DSLR they have manual mode. Also they have automatic mode, but we are talking about controlling the light by ourselves. When we want to control the light, we have different things to control it. First of all, and the most important among them are these three things. We call them exposure triangle: aperture, shutter, it means shutter speed, and ISO or ISO. So we will talk about them completely during these lessons. If you don't know about these things, don't worry. We will come to them one by one and we will learn about them. Aperture, shutter, and ISO. Briefly, if I want to say something, aperture is the small hole inside of the lens, usually for most of the cameras, usually for DSLR, but not for all of the cameras. So aperture is a small hole that could be wide open or closed, and it lets light come to the camera. Shutter is like a door, opening and closing. Okay, opening and closing is like a gate for the light. And ISO, it's the sensitivity, that how sensitive is our sensor. Let's go through this three things. For example, here, if you see, we have two photos. One of it, actually, it's the same, one photo. In one photo, we see that the bird is dark, the sea is completely, in its middle, it's gray, and but this, in the second one, the bird is bright and the boat is visible. There is like a shadow in the other one, and also the sea is completely bright. So what happened is here, so the adjustment thing and just controlling the lights are different. Here we have different things, just aperture, ISO, and shutter speed, that they have different effect on controlling the light. And we will go through them one by one. First of all, shutter speed. Shutter speed is a measure of how long the shutter remains open and thus how long the sensor is exposed to the light. As I mentioned earlier, this is like a door. how long we open the door. So suppose that we have, for example, a room, many people are inside and they want to get out. If we open the door for 1 minute, maybe 10 of them get out. If we open the door for 10 minutes, most of them will be out. So this is like, it's a door. So just saying that how long. So when we are talking about shutter speed, it's about the exposure time. Shutter speed, exposure time. This is very important. Faster shutter speed gives the sensor less time. So when we're talking about the fast shutter speed, it means that we open and close it fast. So there is not much time for lights or for that people in the room to get out or come inside. So this is very important. And thus the result in lower exposure. Slower shutter speed allow more time for the sensor to collect light. So when we say slow shutter speed, it means that we have more time to get the light. So the result will be the brighter photo. If we go back to this one, and if the shutter speed is matter here, okay, if just the shutter speed is matter here, we understand now from these definition that here in the darker photo, the shutter speed was faster. It means that the exposure time was limited. And here, shutter speed is slower than exposure time is longer. But actually, they are the same photo and are just manipulate them by computer. So they are all the same adjustment. This is just for learning. Okay, we'll continue to know more about shutter speed. Actually, there are two curtains, first curtain and second curtain. They come together after each other, and it's the meaning of shutter speed or exposure time. Shutter speed control the light, and also it has effect of the moving, motion, freezing, all the things that refer to these things. This is the meaning of exposure. Here, it's 1/1600 of a second, 1/500 of a second, and 1/160 of a second. So obviously, this is the brighter one. Why? Because it's slower. It lets the shutter have, let the sensor have more light, and this is the darker one. So the faster shutter speed means the lower light, the darker picture. And also, as I mentioned, shutter speed have effect on motion. Faster shutter speed, like this one, 1,000 of a second, freeze everything, or at least in this photo. And 180 of a second show a little of motion. See, this is the fast stop freezing and slow blurring and motion. Here, the reason we might want to use higher speed is to stop the motion, like this one, 1/8000 of a second. So here you see that we freeze this bird. These birds actually are the birds that they move their wings too fast, but we freeze them here. Whether that be the camera shake or a subject is moving, allow us to maintain the sharpness. Remember, as long as the shutter is open, the camera is essentially recording the position of the element in the frame. If one of these elements move, the results will open the undesired blur. And here, this one, you see this is 3-second exposure. And if you look at these are the waves of the sea, they are the same as cloud in the sky because they were moving a little, waves going up and come back. And in 3 seconds, we capture the moving here. So shutter speed is the controlling light and controlling the motion. Now we are going to talk about shutter priority or TV or S mode in your camera.
Something that's moving fast like a rabbit or something, you want
Okay.
fast shutter speed, right? so that you can capture it. But what if you also want to take the picture of the fast moving object, but also like a bright picture?
Yeah, good question. There are some other options that we have control on them, like aperture and ISO, that we can concentrate the light with these two options, and we will go through them. For now, we are going just to controlling just shutter speed, and we let camera do all the things. One by one, we understand that how to control these things. So yeah, you are right. We want to capture something, so we are losing light, and it might be dark, but we wanted bright picture. What should we do? We should adjust it. We should control the other two settings. Did you get your answer?
Yes, I guess I'm just not sure how to do that yet.
No,
on this.
yeah, we don't know. We will learn it. Don't worry. One by
Okay.
one. We didn't take any photo yet. We are just talking. Yeah, you will do
Yeah.
it right. You will take the photo today, and you will be perfect. Don't worry.
Okay.
Good. Any other question? Okay. Now, please just grab your camera and put it. If you have a Nikon, put it on S, and if you have a Canon, just go to TV mode. So here you see the pictures. If you have a Nikon go to S, and if you have a Canon, TV mode. So TV or S is shutter priority. For now, when your camera mode dial is set on sorry, it's AV, I should write it TV. TV or S, your camera is in shutter priority. In TV or S mode, the user manually chooses the shutter speed setting while the camera automatically adjusts the aperture for this shot. And now for this one, we want also you to do something. I want you to do and put your ISO in automatic mode. I will do it with this camera to see what you already know how to do it. So in this camera, if I want to put the ISO in automatic, I will come here and put the ISO in automatic mode.
I have a question. So when you put it to the TV mode, do you have to do anything else, or is it just that?
No, just put your camera on TV mode. Okay,
Okay.
here it's TV mode, and also put your ISO on automatic mode.
Okay.
Yeah. This, if you have a Canon, your setting should be like this one. Okay, good. Sorry. So here in Nikon, there are different things to do it. Some of them has the ISO button like this one. Okay, if you put just the ISO button, then you can change it here. You see we have here the I'm not sure if you're seeing, yeah. So I can change it to different number, and also with this dial I can change it to automatic. See, this is now automatic. But some of them doesn't have this ISO button. So if you do not have this ISO button, you should go to your menu. Okay, you're seeing my menu. Here on the second one, shooting menu, you can find ISO sensitivity setting. Then I will go through it. Here, it's auto ISO sensitivity. It should be on or off. So you should turn it to on. Okay? If you didn't find it, the best idea is to go through the camera user manual. But because I don't have access to your camera to show it, but it should be through menu, the easiest one. Now we are okay. Everyone has his camera or her camera, and it's on S or TV, and the ISO is on auto mode. So this is the setting that we want to do it right now. So the other setting should be on the default mode. We do not want to change anything. But if the result change to be weird, then we will check it that what is wrong with your camera. So the first thing before starting photography is to know how to focus. So let's talk about how to focus. It is very important in photography to do the focusing. We have two kinds of focuses in DSLR camera, manual and automatic focus. No matter which shooting mode you are in, from automatic to program or manual, TV, S, AV, any shooting mode you have always two kinds of focus. So the focus is something else. When we are talking of talking about an automatic focus, it doesn't mean that we are shooting on automatic mode. It means that our focus is automatic. So these are two separate categories, remember. Now we are talking about focusing, manual and automatic focusing. So on different cameras is still different. And here I will show you here on the slides, then I will show you with my cameras and I will connect it. Okay, we will do it again. So first of all, there is a button in your cameras usually that show you A or M or AF, MF. It means it is shifting from manual to automatic. So I want to show you here. See this one on this camera, AF, MF, AF, MF. This is on most of the lenses, but some of them nowadays, some of the camera remove this one and put it on the menu. And here on this camera also, this is an icon. You have M, A, AM, M. So you should know this button. Please check your camera to see if you have this button on your lens. Anyone has any problem? Okay, we will continue. So we will put, for now, we will put this one on A. It means that it's automatic focusing. Now we want to choose AF point. It means that where we want to focus. So on Canon, there is a button here that shows it. And after that, we press that button and we will go through choosing it on the menu, and later we can shoot with that. I will show it to you through the, so there is a button here, this button on Canon, and you can press it. When it is on, you can press it and you see this menu back of your camera. You see? If, again, I have this one, again, and I press, so I have this menu for Canon. And if I move the main shutter, the main dial next to shutter button, I can change this point to anywhere that I want. For now, I just choose the middle, the center point, okay? Just leave it here. Now, again, see, it's on the center mode. Now the people who have Canon camera, try to find it. If you have any problem, we will come to you. Okay, now we will go to Nikon. The people who have Nikon, usually Nikon people, I put it on A, and also in most of the Nikon, there is a button here, AFM, or the button for choosing this point. I press it and then I have this button in my visor. But if you do not see that one, or if you do not have this one, don't worry, because easily, if you press I, or, so this is my Nikon menu. If you press the button I or info, it depends on your camera, you can see it here, and here, there is just, see, I am changing this point anywhere that I want to just keep it. You see this? So I'm moving the point here and I put it on the center. For now, I put it on the center. Okay, so this is my camera and I chose the center AF point, and now I want to focus. So when I want to focus, I will go to something and just focus on it, and I press the shutter button half and it will focus. So because I'm showing you through my monitor, you see different point. I don't want you to use your monitor. I want you to use your visor. Okay, when you look at through your visor, you will see different, for example, let me show you. I want to focus on something like this one. I press, okay, it's focusing on the window. I press, so it's focusing on the window. Let's do somewhere else. Yeah, here. Let's do something inside the house. Okay, I just press the button, shutter speed, see, half press, and it's focused. The things that I want you to do, it's you should, yeah, use it through your eyes and your visor, not through the camera, not through the monitor. So I want you to put your camera on your, just through your eyes and try to look at it and press the shutter button and try to focus on it. So this is very important for now. I don't want you to take photograph or do anything. I want you to just focus. Focus on anything you want. But there are something and that I want you to do it. First of all, use your longest. So please use your longest focal length. For example, here I have 18, 135. I use 135. If you have 1855, put your lens on 55. If you have 50 to 250, put it on 250 for now. Okay, for now, because we're practicing. So, okay, put it on your longest and try just to focus. Press the shutter button, half press and focus. I don't want you to take photo. Just focus. Try to focus on different things for 5 minutes. Okay, for 5 minutes. Then we will continue. This mark shows the place of your sensor. And so from here, for this camera, or actually for this lens, is 80 centimeter. And for this lens is 39. So it doesn't matter if the lens is this one or this one. From this part, from this to 39, approximately here, I can focus. So if I want a blurry thing here, I put my camera on 135, the longest focal length that I have, and I bring my object as close as I can. It means 39 centimeters for this camera. Then I have a blurry things there. About the shutter speed, just one thing here, just here. Put your shutter speed on the nearest number toward your focal length. What does it mean? It means that if I put on 135, I choose the shutter speed 125. See? Okay? Just put the, if you have, for example, 55, put on 50 or 60. Now look at my camera. Okay, so you see here is 18, and this is 50, and this is 125. 35. I put it on 135. I bring my camera a little back so to have all the things here. And now I bring, so like this one. And this is the focusing. Focusing is on manual, and I bring it back and forward. See, I can change the focus. I want to put these things in front of the camera to see what we have here. Okay, if you see, now it's really close. And when it is close to my camera, the back is blur because I put 34. And now I'm shifting the focus. See, the focus is here. Now the focus is there. I'm just shifting the focus. And this is your practice. Because for my camera, 35 is really, I put it on 85 because I want to have 3 objects. And changing it, sorry. Yeah, okay. Now I can put 3 objects. Okay, so the focus is now on the first notebook that actually is Frida, and it is the second one. So what I'm gonna do here is just practicing manual focusing. I'm focusing on this, then I change my focus and I will go to the book, Helen Exley, and I will go to Friends, Central Perk. And each time I can take a photo. For example, this time I can take a photo. See? And then I moved and I shift my focus. We call it focus practicing. And then I will go to the last one. Now see the photos. This is focus is on the Central Perk. Now on this book, and here on Frida. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to let you know how to practice manual focusing. But I want to add something else to the automatic focusing. When I told you that put the point in the middle, does it mean that you should always focus on the middle? No. In the focus, in the automatic focus, you can focus, then change your camera view like this. So I put it on automatic focus, and I will come back again to my. So here, okay, here I'm for example, I'm trying to focus on this plant. So I focus it, but should it be exactly in the center of my camera? No. When I focus, I'm still keeping my shutter button half pressed. I moved it and I take a photo. You see? So for taking photograph with manual focus, with automatic focus, when you are focusing on the center, it doesn't mean that your object should be always on the center. You can focus, then move your camera while you are keeping your half pressed shutter button. Okay, focus and move, focus and move. Now I want you to practice 2 things. First of all, manual focusing, put the 3 objects and just trying to have manual focus. Remember, first of all, remember, you try to use longest focal length that you have because you want blurring, and try to have the shutter speed approximately near to your focal length number, and try to keep your camera stable. Put it somewhere and put the object in front of it. Just play with focus frame. The second thing is practicing automatic focus. Focus in the center of your frame and move the camera. Actually, you can move the point, but the easiest way is moving the camera, moving the frame, not moving the point. Okay, practice it for now. You know, the point of practicing in class is that you understand the whole idea and you don't have any problem. And later you will go to continue your practicing and show me that contact sheet. It means that you mastered that techniques. So focusing, it's very, very important in photography. And this is the fundamental point here. We should pass this, and after that we could continue. So when you do not, it's very bad that, for example, we go to session 5 or session 6, and then when we are talking about shutter speed, we are talking about other exposure matter like aperture, then someone says, okay, I don't know how to focus. So this is really bad. So we should learn focusing here. And I know some of you or most of you already knew it and you're mastering focus, and this is very easy thing because you always focus with your camera, with your mobile phone. But it is not a big deal, but it needs practice. As much as you practice, you understand that both of them comes through along with each other. And sometimes it's very good to use manual focus. Sometimes it's very good to autofocus. For example, I myself, most of the time, I use autofocus. When we have this feature, when it is very good and reliable, and I have problem in my eyes and I wear glasses, so it's very much better to rely on the camera, not my eyes, because it's not very good in seeing. So autofocus is very good for me, but you should learn also to control autofocus. The point here is that I want you to practice autofocus as much as you practice manual focus. The point here is that you should, this is for now, because you know we go through limitation for now is that I advise you to put your focal point just one in the center. Okay, again, yeah, one in the center. So it helps you to practice and focusing precisely. For example, I focus on something in the center of the picture, but it doesn't mean that I should just have this one. Let me show you, and I take the photo and I will show you. So sharing. Okay, this is the first photo, and as you see, my focus point was centered and also my object is centered. So I just focus and take a photo. But it doesn't mean that I should put my object always on center. I can focus, move. Okay, focus, keep my shutter button down and just move. Focusing, auto-focusing, and focusing in our eyes and auto-focusing in camera is the same for, you know, camera tries to check the contrast. When there are two things together, they just move and shift the elements in the lens to see how they have the more or the most contrast between these two things. So when it finds the most contrast things, so it understand that it is focus. This is very important, that when we are gonna focus on something, it should not be plain and without any texture or without any contrast. For example, if the sky is completely blue, nothing in the sky, we cannot focus on it. If there is a white wall or gray wall, it doesn't matter the color, but there is no contrast, so it's hard to focus, even automatic or with the manual focus. You should have something to focus in it. So if there is just a spot on the wall, that's enough. Just remember to practice and send your contact sheet. It is very important part of your assignment. And I want to be sure that you practice. That's all. I just, there are a small photos thumbnail. I just check, okay, yeah. Here, you see how to create a digital contact sheet in Photoshop. All the things coming down. And after that is how to create digital contact sheet in Lightroom. So that's all. It's really easy.